It is finally Oscar day. I've seen all the Best Picture nominees. I think this is the first year that I've ever seen all the Best Picture nominees for something, so I'm going to rank them all. This is from my least favorite to my absolute favorite, and if you're wondering, I really like all of these films. There is not a bad film on this at all. This is, in my own opinion, this is not a best list, this is a favorites list. So some of them, I was like, okay, that one might be better, but I like this one more, or it stuck with me more. So, you know, you'll see one film especially which people will put probably as their favorite, a lot of them, but it's not my favorite, just because it may be one of the best ones, but it's just not my favorite. So here we go, from least favorite to favorite. Number 9! Little Women. I watched this last night, and I knew it was going to be my last place just because this is not my type of film, but I like this film a lot more than I expected to. It's a period piece, and normally I don't really like them, and I hadn't read the book and any of the older adaptations. I didn't know the story up here, but this is from the director, Greta Gerwig, of Lady Bird, a film that is an absolute masterpiece, and I love it, and features the same lead actress. But my favorite performance in the entire film is from Florence Pugh. She is fantastic. Everyone is very good in the movie. Timothée Chalamet, I think that's his name. He's also very good in this. I need to watch more work from him. And I really like this film. Some of the editing, though, I'll show you one scene. I'll put it over right now. This is a real edit in the film. And I was looking at my notes, because I watched this on my computer. I was looking at a note I wrote about what I want plus what will win for the Oscars. And I saw this, and I went back 10 seconds, and I watched it again. I was like, wow, that's real. And there's a few little, like, choppy things in the first scene even, and there's one towards the end which it leads it into a great shot, but the cut is really bad. This isn't one of my absolute favorites of the year, but it's a very good film, and one that I'd give an A- to. 1917. 1917, when I first watched it, I absolutely loved it, and I still love the film. I originally gave it an A+, the grade has moved down to an A, but this film is a technical achievement. The cinematography is the best of the year. It's some of the best these eyes have ever seen. Roger Deakins, I love you. And this film, it honestly is great. You know, all these films on here is great. This is one of the most entertaining films of last year, because yes, this is a 2019 film, okay? And the two lead performances are amazing, especially George McKay, I think that's his name. He's fantastic, and just the way they shot it all to make it look like one take, kind of like Birdman. And although I could tell sometimes when there was a cut, like darkness, they'd go down into a room, like darkness would come over, I'm like, okay, there's a cut, or someone will walk in front. That's fine, it didn't bother me. I just wish we got a bit more from the characters, but that's my only problem with the film. This film is fantastic. It features some of my favorite scenes of the year, especially that final run with all the stuff exploding and when he crashes into one of the extras, which wasn't supposed to happen, but makes it feel all the more real. This is a technical achievement in a film I really love. 7. Don't kill me for this one, this is why it's own opinion. Coming in at number 7 is Parasite, okay? I know, a lot of people are saying this is like the best film of last year. In my opinion, it isn't. There are better films, but this film is still a masterpiece. It definitely deserves an A+. I watched it first, like, at home, and I didn't pay attention to some scenes because it was late. It's on my phone, but then I saw it in the theater finally 2 weeks ago. Sounds right. And just was blown away. This is probably the smartest film of last year. The way that it lets you know, or it kind of shows you what's going to happen. Oh, how are they going to, I don't want to spoil anything, how are they going to get this person into this position for the family? And then they talk about a peach, and you're like, oh, that makes sense. The way that they aren't like, hey, we're going to use a peach to do something. Subtly using it, and it is a gorgeous looking film. The acting is great. And Bong Joon-ho's direction is phenomenal. It has some social commentary too, and that party scene at the end is, again, one of my favorite scenes of the entire year. There's some setup in previous scenes, like when a character I can't spoil it, so I won't talk in detail. A character like rolls down a window, and as something very important, something is happening to someone very important to one of the characters, so he reacts on that in that party scene, and it is mind-blowing. This film is great. Is it the best film of last year? I don't think so. Is it one of them? Yes. Yeah. Number 6. The funniest film I've seen since The Nice Guys in 2016, and that is Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit was one of the biggest surprises, I'd say, of last year, because I expected this film to be good and funny, but I didn't know it had this much emotion. This is probably also the saddest film I watched last year, that hanging shoes scene. Jojo Rabbit is a near masterpiece. It is my favorite Taika Waititi film. I've seen 3 of his films, Hunt for the Wilder People, The Ragnarok, and now Jojo Rabbit, and I love this film so much. It is hilarious. Roman Griffin Davis gives one of my favorite child performances of all time. You know, sometimes children in films can be annoying, and if they're leading the film, that's kind of a yikes sometimes, but this one, it is not. Roman Griffin Davis is fantastic. Scarlett Johansson is my pick for supporting actress. She probably won't win. I feel like Laura Dern will win, which I'm okay with. But Scarlett Johansson gives my favorite supporting performance from an actress of the entire year. And it tells more than just the story about this kid who idolizes Hitler and then finds a Jewish girl like hiding in his house because of his mom. That's the story. I said mum, like M-U-M. It really, it's heartbreaking, and it really shows. There's one scene in particular which Taika Waititi and Stephen Merchant, I think that's his name, they break down on one of the channels on YouTube, and I don't want to say it just because it's something bad where they're saying something about Hitler, you know, and they're all Nazis, so you can take a guess what they're saying, but they repeat the same sentence over and over again. It's just 2 words, and it gets funnier and funnier each time. Just, it shows the insanity that Nazis were. And this film it's heartbreaking, it is hilarious, and I loved almost everything about Jojo Rabbit. Ford v Ferrari. I had high expectations, and they were met. I loved Ford v Ferrari so much. Christian Bale, he's my favorite actor. It's been like that for years, and he gives a stellar performance along with Matt Damon, who's also great. It's fast-paced after you get, I think, past that first act. It really kind of picks up, and I just love seeing the test drives, and you're wondering, will something break in the final act, and what happens. You're just like, oh my god, really? And you really get connected with these characters. It tells a fantastic story about Christian Bale and Noah Jupe, I think that's his name, and their relationship of father and son. And this is the best dad movie of the entire year. Joker. You heard me, film Twitter. Joker comes in at number 4. I love Joker so much. In the theaters, first, I thought this thing is a masterpiece, and I rewatched it, and it stayed the same. Because you know, sometimes you rewatch a film and you notice other things that you didn't before, and for me, that didn't happen with Joker. It probably even got better. I love Joker so much. Joaquin Phoenix will probably win the Oscar, and for my pick, my personal pick is Adam Driver or him. Adam Driver I liked a bit more, but if Joaquin Phoenix wins, I won't be upset. His performance is one of the best in a comic book film, and I hate to refer to Joker as a comic book film because that means it's in the same genre as Suicide Squad or Batman and Robin or something like that. Joker is a masterpiece. It looks amazing. Todd Phillips, the director of The Hangover, old school, made a great film, and although it takes lots of points from old Scorsese films like Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, who cares? This film is great. Number 3. Marriage Story. Marriage Story features my 2 favorite performances of the year from Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. It's such just an emotional film. As I said, Jojo Rabbit, I said that was probably the saddest film I've seen all year. It's between these 2. I know what you're thinking, whoa, that's weird. But this deals with divorce. I know my parents aren't divorced, but apparently it is like one of the most real feeling films ever, and just these performances don't feel like performances. They are the characters, and it also features my favorite scene of the entire year. That is the argument scene. Marriage Story is a masterpiece. It's one of my favorite films probably of that decade. It's in that top 40, probably top 50. It is fantastic. 2 of the best performances I may have ever seen. Number 2. The Irishman from Martin Scorsese, my second favorite director of all time. The Irishman was a film I knew was going to be good. I mean, look at the cast. We have Robert De Niro, who is snubbed, Joe Pesci, and Al Pacino. I'm finally getting to see Al Pacino and Martin Scorsese work together. I've been waiting for this. Al Pacino gave my favorite supporting performance, and Joe Pesci was also fantastic, but Robert De Niro was the driving force of the entire film. I loved seeing his whole life, well, not whole life, but a lot of his life told through 3.5 hours, which did not bother me. I watched it all in one sitting. Just the way that Scorsese deals with characters, and you really feel for them through the end, and the relationship between Anna Paquin. It's just, this film, oh my god, it's so good. It is in that top 25, I think I put it, top 20 of last decade. I love this film so much. It's a film made for me, basically, because, I know that sounds weird, but crime is my favorite genre, and for a crime director, Scorsese is my favorite. Robert De Niro, I'd say, is my favorite crime actor, and along with Joe Pesci, who gave my second favorite supporting performance of all time in Goodfellas, and Al Pacino being another one of my favorite actors of all time. Number 1! My pick for Best Picture, one I really want to win, I feel like actually has a chance this year. It might not win, but I really want it to, and that is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin Tarantino is my favorite film director ever. I really like to love all of his films, Pulp Fiction being my favorite film of all time, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is on that upper half, I think, of his films. This film is great. It also had Cliff Booth, my favorite character of the year, and my favorite supporting performance of all the nominees in Brad Pitt, and I really hope he wins. I feel like he will. I really want him to, because he is amazing, and I don't think he has an Oscar. I'm not sure. I might have to check that one. I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It was my second favorite film of last year, only behind The Lighthouse, which I'm glad got recognized for its cinematography. But this film is a complete and utter masterpiece, in my opinion. It's like 2 hours and 40 something minutes, and the second time I watched, the first time it felt long, and I was okay with that because everything sets up something else. Like, you see the flamethrower, and then something happens at the end, and you see maybe a little scrap, let's just say, between Cliff Booth, and then what happens at the end. And the ending is probably my favorite third act of probably the entire year, and one of my favorite scenes of last year. This film is fantastic. Leonardo DiCaprio is fantastic here too, as he's one of the best actors to ever live. Margot Robbie, my favorite actress, is also very, very good. I feel like people started hating on her performance because she wasn't in it as much as people thought she would be, but she was great in the film, and yeah, I love this film so much. I want to know what your pick for Best Picture is. What do you think will win, and what do you want to win? Again, this is my favorites, not my best to worst, not who I think will win, but what I would pick, or like what I want. And I will see you guys next time. Over and out.